covered so much. I mean, the dream world is real.
Oh, absolutely.
Inner senses, dream rehearsal, sleep suggestions, projection. But look, I'm a busy person.
Right, of course.
I don't have hours for elaborate dream rituals. So how do I take all this and make it a simple daily practice that actually fits my life?
Well, the source material says it best, really. The dream state and the waking state are not separate. They're different focuses of the same consciousness.
Okay, let's just stop right there and unpack this because we are speaking directly to you, the listener, right now.
Yeah, we are.
We know you've been on this journey with us through this deep dive. You've absorbed a tremendous amount of deep metaphysical theory.
A lot of heavy material.
Yeah, from the mechanics of out-of-body projections to the intricate, layered realities of the inner senses. And if you're sitting there right now feeling a little overwhelmed,
Which is totally understandable.
right, wondering how you're supposed to map the entire cosmos of your own psyche while still, getting the kids to school on time.
Or preparing for that 9 a.m. meeting.
Exactly. I want you to know something right out of the gate. It is completely normal to feel that way. But that quote you just read, that is the anchor.
They're different focuses of the same consciousness.
Yeah. Let's break down that word focus because to me that implies a mechanical shift, like a camera lens.
That is precisely the right analogy.
Blech.
I mean, when you look through a camera lens, the depth of field determines what is sharp and what is blurry, right?
Right, yeah.
The background doesn't just cease to exist because your lens is focused intensely on the foreground subject.
Oh, wow. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, so in this framework, specifically when we look at the integration sections of the text, physical waking reality is simply the foreground subject.
Right.
Your ego, your daily identity, is just highly focused on this three-dimensional space and, well, linear time.
So the dream state is the background.
Exactly. It's operating continuously. It's the exact same consciousness, just shifted to a different focal point.
So when I wake up and I feel like the dream world is this distant alien planet that I occasionally visit and then leave, that is basically an illusion created by the limitation of my own conscious lens.
Exactly. It's an optical illusion of consciousness. And the mission of this deep dive today is to hand you a small, practical key to adjusting that lens.
Which is a huge relief, honestly.
Right. We aren't going to give you a towering stack of homework. We're going to distill this down to a practice that takes only minutes a day.
Minutes. I love that.
Because, getting back to the source material, this was never intended to be this arduous, punishing discipline,
And I think that's where we really need to start. We are wrapping up our level 1 journey today.
Yes, we are.
We've gone through the foundational texts. But today is all about integration. Today is the how-to for the busy person.
Our practical application.
Right. So before we get into the actual 5-minute practice, we need a diagnosis. Why do we make dream work so incredibly complicated?
Oh, such a good question.
Right. If it's just a shift in focus, why does it feel like I need a PhD in symbolism to understand my own mind?
Well, what's fascinating here is that we unconsciously apply our waking world rules to our dreaming world reality.
Oh, totally.
There's a concept introduced in the text that perfectly diagnoses this exact problem. It's called assembly line time.
Assembly line time. Okay, I love that phrase.
It's great, isn't it?
It feels so painfully accurate to how we live today. But what does that actually mean mechanically in the context of our psychology?
It means we have internalized the logic of the Industrial Revolution and applied it to our own souls.
Yeah, applied it to our soul.
Yeah. We live in a culture that worships the rational waking intellect, and that intellect thrives on schedules, metrics, production lines.
Predictable outcomes.
Exactly. We wake up, we look at the clock, and we say, okay, it's 7:30 a.m., time to produce.
Right. Time to grind.
We apply factory floor logic to our daily lives, which, is fine for building cars or managing a supply chain.
But not for dreaming.
No. The trap is that when people discover the richness of the dream world, their immediate instinct is to colonize the inner world with that exact same factory floor logic.
Oh, I see this all the time. Like, people buy these massive, complex dream dictionaries.
Oh, yeah, it's a dictionary.
They set multiple smart alarms to wake themselves up precisely at the end of their RMM cycles.
Tracking everything.
Yeah. They use wearable tech to gamify their sleep architecture. They keep exhaustive, cross-indexed spreadsheets of dream symbols on their laptops.
Yes. They basically treat their subconscious like an employee who is slacking off on the job.
Right. Like, give me my insights and give them to me by 8 a.m. so I can leverage them at the office.
Exactly. I need deliverables.
We are trying to optimize the infinite.
Precisely. And what the texts point out is that applying intense rational pressure to natural, spontaneous, creative processes
Yeah.
actually stifles them completely.
It kills the magic.
It really does. The intellect is trying to manage an environment it was never designed to manage. You cannot say to the spontaneous, creative self, produce a highly symbolic, lucid dream that solves my specific career crisis tonight.
Between 2-point and 4-point AM.
Right. And make it clear enough that I can write it down in 5 bullet points.
Because the spontaneous self doesn't speak in bullet points.
It doesn't. When you try to explore the psyche in deadly seriousness, with rigid expectations and metrics, the material will simply escape you.
It retreats.
Yeah, it retreats. The source material states quite clearly that the conscious mind shouldn't attempt to bully the subconscious.
Okay, that makes sense.
The goal here isn't to become a stressed-out dream expert who is actually exhausted all day because their nighttime rituals are so demanding.
Right, we want the opposite of that.
Exactly. The goal is to effortlessly integrate the wisdom of the dreaming self into the waking life.
Okay, here is where I want to push back a little, or at least wrestle with this idea.
Go for it.
Because I know myself and I know our listeners, we are a culture of enthusiastic starters.
Oh, definitely.
If we drop the assembly line mindset entirely, what replaces it? How do we actually sustain a practice?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. Let's say I embrace this effortless, spontaneous approach. I start my little dream journal. I do it perfectly for 4 days. And then
Life happens.
life happens. I have a late night. I wake up exhausted because the dog was barking. I immediately check my phone for a work email. I forget the practice entirely for a week.
It happens to all of us.
So what happens then? Doesn't the whole system break down? I mean, isn't building a habit like building a muscle?
You'd think so, but no.
If you stop going to the gym, the muscle atrophies, right? Is this like a strict diet where if I eat a donut on day 5, the whole week is ruined and I have to start over from 0?
If we connect this to the bigger picture of this philosophy, the answer is a resounding no.
Okay, good.
And this raises a crucial question about how we view our own inner nature. Remember, your diet analogy, or the gym analogy, it relies on a worldview based on punishment, failure, and degradation.
Oh, I guess it does, yeah.
It assumes your inner self is a harsh taskmaster, or that your natural state is one of decay unless you force it to improve.
Which is a depressing way to look at it.
Exactly. But there's a concept in the text, specifically when discussing value fulfillment, called biological optimism.
Okay, stop right there. Biological optimism.
Yeah.
I have to be honest, when I first heard that phrase, my initial reaction was a bit cynical.
Really? Why?
It just sounds like a bumper sticker, you know? It sounds like forced positivity. Just look on the bright side of your biology.
Oh, I see what you mean.
But we're not talking about just having a positive attitude, are we? What does biological optimism actually mean at a mechanical cellular level?
I'm so glad you stopped me on that, because it is the absolute opposite of a bumper sticker.
Okay, break it down.
If we don't understand this, we miss the entire foundation of why a simple practice works. When we talk about biological optimism, we're describing a fundamental law of physics within the inner reality.
What's the law of physics? Wow.
Yeah. It is the built-in, intrinsic faith that pervades each living creature, each cell, each atom.
Give me a physical example. Like, how does a cell exhibit optimism?
Well, think about a seed planted in the dirt. The seed doesn't experience anxiety about whether the sun will rise tomorrow.
Right.
It doesn't stress about the precise metric of water it will receive. It operates on a built-in cellular assumption that the environment will provide what it needs to grow.
It just knows.
It just pushes upward.
Yeah.
Or, think about a cut on your finger. You don't have to consciously direct your white blood cells.
No, you definitely don't.
You don't have to schedule a meeting with your platelets and say, okay, team, we need a clot by 3.0 over your PM.
That would be ridiculous.
Exactly. The body heals itself based on an inherent optimistic propulsion toward wholeness. That is biological optimism.
I love that.
It is the physical and psychological drive toward fulfillment that requires zero conscious management.
So when I apply my assembly line time, my spreadsheets, and my strict routines to my dreams, I am essentially acting like a cell that has stopped crusting the body. I'm trying to micromanage an organism that already knows how to heal and communicate on its own.
Exactly. You are trying to do the heavy lifting that the universe is already doing for you.
Oh, man. That's so backwards.
It is. Nature isn't waiting to punish you for missing a day of journaling. Your inner self is endlessly patient because it operates outside of linear time anyway.
Right, the background focus.
Exactly. The dreaming self is propelled by an unquenchable exuberance. So, to answer your earlier question, if you forget your dream practice for a day, or a week or a month, you haven't broken the rules.
That is a huge relief.
There are no demerits in the inner world. You simply begin again.
I cannot overstate how deeply reassuring that is. It fundamentally changes the relationship.
It does.
It's not a rigid discipline. It's a friendly relationship with your larger self. It's like leaving the door cracked open for a pet.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
You don't stand there screaming at the cat to come inside. You just leave the door open, and eventually it wanders in.
Exactly. The dreaming self is always there, operating in the background, always ready to communicate.
You don't have to force the door open. You just have to occasionally remember to look through it.
That is a wonderful way to put it. And if we want proof of how this looks in a real human life, we have the perfect model right in the source material.
Yes. Let's talk about the channeler of this material, Jane's journey.
Exactly.
For you listening, we've spent hours going over the materials she produced. These incredibly profound, universe-bending concepts. She is the gold standard for this work.
Absolutely.
And you'd think, given the sheer volume and depth of the material, her personal dream practice must have been something out of a high fantasy novel.
Oh, people always assume that.
Right. You picture her in a velvet-draped room doing hours of intense meditation, burning rare incenses, chanting.
Maintaining an agonizingly strict regimen.
Yeah, but it wasn't like that at all.
It wasn't. That is the great irony. Her practice was remarkably, almost stubbornly, ordinary.
She's so ordinary. She just had a dedicated notebook and a pen right by her bed.
That was it.
That was the advanced technology, a spiral notebook.
A pen, and a willingness to record whatever came. And what is crucial for you to understand is the rhythm of her practice.
The rhythm. Let's talk about that.
Jane didn't force it. There were periods in her life where she was recording rich, vivid dreams, out-of-body projections, precognitive vision.
Just a torrential downpour of psychic phenomena.
Exactly. And then there were other periods, sometimes stretching for months, where her dream life seemed completely quiet.
The well appeared dry.
Yeah.
And she was dealing with intense physical challenges in her waking life, right? Severe physical symptoms, the stress of publishing, the daily grind. During those dry spells, what did she do? Did she panic? Did she start setting alarms at 3 a.m. to force a projection?
No, she didn't panic at all. She didn't say, oh no, I've lost my connection to the inner universe, my metaphysical muscle is atrophied.
She just let it be.
She sometimes just slept. She trusted the natural rhythm. She applied what the material calls the magical approach.
Trusting the spontaneous self.
Yes. She trusted that her life would fulfill itself, that her inner and outer environments were uniquely suited to work together. If she needed rest, her inner self gave her rest. If she needed insight, it gave her insight.
Let's drill into the mechanics of that. What physically happens when we try to force a psychic experience during a dry spell?
It's totally counterproductive.
Why shouldn't we push through the resistance?
Because forcing it originates from the ego. And the ego operates by constriction.
Constriction, okay.
Think about it. When you try really hard to remember a forgotten name, what happens? You physically tense up.
Yeah, you furrow your brow.
You grip the steering wheel. That physical and psychological constriction narrows the focus of consciousness even further into the physical foreground.
Oh, I see.
But the inner senses require relaxation. They require expansion. When you force a dream, you are using the exact psychological posture that blocks the dream from entering waking memory.
So the harder I squeeze, the more it slips through my fingers.
Exactly.
But by simply maintaining the notebook by the bed, even if she wrote nothing for a month, she was keeping the door cracked open without constricting her focus.
Precisely.
And the result of that simple, gentle consistency, it transformed her entire understanding of reality. It fueled her creativity, it gave her deep insights, and it allowed her to produce a body of work that has changed millions of lives.
Her journey proved that consistency and gentleness matter infinitely more than intensity.
That is so powerful.
As the material says, desire is action. In the inner world, your desires bring about their own fulfillment effortlessly. The feeling of effortlessness is what is important.
Right.
When you place the notebook by the bed, the physical act of doing so is a materialization of your desire. The inner self reads that desire and responds.
Okay, let's pivot. Let's take all this profound philosophy, biological optimism, effortless desire, avoiding assembly line time and structure, the unstructured.
Let's do it.
We promised you, the listener, a practice that fits into a busy life. How do we take the vastness of the multidimensional inner universe and fit it into a chaotic Tuesday morning?
It's entirely possible.
We are going to give you the exact 5-minute dream practice, and you can start this tonight.
It is incredibly straightforward, and it relies on 3 simple pillars extracted directly from the texts: intention, recall, and reflection.
Pillar 1, intention. This takes exactly 30 seconds, and it happens right before sleep.
Yep, just 30 seconds.
Walk us through the mechanics of this. What are we actually doing here?
Right before you drift off, as you are lying in bed, you set a gentle, ego-free suggestion. You are communicating across the threshold of consciousness, but the phrasing and the tone are paramount. You do not demand. You don't say, "I command my subconscious to reveal the exact solution to my mortgage problem tonight."
No assembly line demands.
Exactly. You use a simple, open, permissive phrase, something like, "I will remember a dream that serves my highest good." Or even simpler, "I will remember a dream and I will write it down."
Let's analyze the difference between a command and a suggestion. Why shouldn't I say, "I will lucid dream tonight and meet my spirit guide"? I mean, isn't specificity supposed to be a good thing?
Not when dealing with the spontaneous self. The texts explicitly warn against this. They say, do not attempt to bully or command the subconscious.
Bully the subconscious, wow.
Yeah. When you give a rigid command, you are applying assembly line time. You are giving the inner self a deadline and a specific metric for success.
And what happens if the inner self has other plans?
Well, exactly. If the inner self knows that what you actually need tonight is a deeply restorative, non-lucid dream to heal a physical ailment, but your ego is demanding a lucid joyride, you create internal conflict.
I want to try an analogy here to see if I'm conceptualizing this correctly. Tell me if this works.
Sure.
It feels less like I'm programming a computer and more like I'm tuning an old analog radio dial.
Oh, I love that.
When you set the intention, you aren't forcing the music to play. You don't control the broadcast station, but you are carefully, gently turning the dial to the right frequency right before you fall asleep.
Yes.
So that when the broadcast begins, your receiver is in the correct position to catch it.
That is a phenomenal analogy. Yes. You are tuning the receiver. You are aligning the waking ego's frequency with the dreaming self's broadcast.
Right.
You are in a drowsy, relaxed state, what we call the hypnagogic state, which is highly suggestible. By simply stating, "I will remember," you are leaving the receiver on. That's it. 30 seconds. And then you surrender to sleep.
I love that. You aren't managing the broadcast. You're just keeping the radio on.
Exactly.
So that's pillar 1, intention. Then we sleep. The dreaming self does its profound multidimensional work, and then we wake up. Which brings us to pillar 2, recall.
Recall.
This is supposed to take about 2 minutes upon waking, but this is where the friction happens. This is where the discipline comes in, right?
It is, but it's a very specific, small discipline. The critical, non-negotiable rule here is this. Before you check your phone, before you turn on the morning news, before you start mentally listing your errands for the day.
Before you engage with the physical world of assembly line time.
Exactly. Before all of that, you reach for that notebook by your bed and you write down one sentence.
Okay, we need to pause and look at the actual neuroscience and metaphysics of that moment of waking up. Why is checking the phone so destructive to dream recall?
Because waking up is not an instant on-off switch. You are passing through a transitional borderland called a hypnopompic state.
The hypnopompic state.
Your brain waves are shifting from theta or delta waves back up to the fast-paced beta waves of waking consciousness. In that borderland, the lens of your consciousness is still wide open. The background and foreground are still blended.
And when I grab my phone to check a text message,
you slam the lens shut. The screen, the text message, the demands of the waking world, they force your focus entirely into the sharp foreground of physical reality.
Oh, wow.
The beta waves take over completely. The background dream world doesn't vanish, but your conscious access to it is severed because your focus has drastically narrowed.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so reaching for the pen instead of the phone keeps the lens open just a little bit longer.
Yes.
But here is the major hurdle people face, and I face this all the time. I wake up, and I reach for the pen. But I don't have a story, I just have a fleeting, nonsensical fragment.
Which is completely fine.
It's not a narrative arc, it's just a blurry image of a blue chair, or a lingering feeling of anxiety, or the smell of rain. And the intellect immediately judges it and says, well, that's useless, I'm not writing down blue chair. I'll wait until I have a real dream to write down.
And that is the intellect sabotaging the process. What's fascinating here is that The content almost doesn't matter at first.
Really? It doesn't matter?
Yeah. The source material emphasizes that you shouldn't worry about neatness, grammar, or making a perfect narrative. You are doing something much more profound than writing a story. You are building a bridge.
How does writing down blue chair build a bridge? What is the actual mechanism there?
You are physically taking energy from the dream framework, translating it into motor movement through your hand, and anchoring it in physical ink on physical paper.
Anchoring it?
You are proving to your inner self that the waking self is paying attention. You are validating the existence of the inner life.
This brings up a concept I want to spend some serious time on because it blew my mind when I read it.
Oh, I think I know which one you mean.
I think it perfectly explains what we are actually capturing when we write down these fragments. Let's bring in that wild concept regarding value fulfillment and the nature of reality. The idea of dreams as electrons. Can you introduce this?
Yes. This is one of the most mind-bending ideas in the entire material. It states that your dreams don't just disappear when you wake up. You might forget them, but they don't cease to exist.
Yeah.
It says that your dreams act like electrons in other realities. They change their form, their subjective force, and they become part of the working mechanics of the universe.
Okay, we have to unpack this for a few minutes because this is huge. When it says electrons, I need to visualize this physically.
Sure.
An electron in quantum physics isn't just a tiny, hard ball orbiting a nucleus. It exists as a cloud of probability. It is everywhere and nowhere at once. And it only collapses into a specific, measurable position when it is observed.
Exactly.
Are we saying that a dream operates the same way?
That is an incredibly accurate way to view it. In the dream state, the energy of your consciousness is operating in a realm of high probability. It is fluid, shape-shifting, unbound by linear time. It is a cloud of potential.
Oh.
When you wake up and you remember that dream, when you observe it and write it down, you are acting as the observer in quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
You are collapsing that wave function of probability into a specific physical anchor in this reality.
Oh, that gives me chills. So when I write down blue chair, I am not just scribbling a meaningless memory.
No, not at all.
I am literally taking a multidimensional probability cloud, collapsing it with my conscious observation, and dragging a piece of its energy into physical space-time.
Yeah.
I am anchoring an electron.
You are. And if you don't anchor it, if you just ignore it and check your phone,
Yeah.
that energy doesn't die.
It just goes somewhere else.
It just remains in the inner realities. It goes on to serve other functions in the cosmos,
Yeah.
altering the landscape of other planes of existence.
Yeah.
But by writing it down, you tether it to your waking life.
That is incredible.
And often what happens is that anchoring that one tiny fragment, that single electron, it acts like pulling a loose thread on a sweater.
Yes. I've experienced this. You write down blue chair, and suddenly you remember, wait, the chair was in my childhood home, and my grandfather was there, and he handed me a key.
Exactly.
The rest of the dream unravels into your waking memory simply because you anchored the first fragment.
Precisely. But even if the rest of the dream doesn't come back, that 2 minutes of recall has done its job. The physical act of writing validates the inner world. You have successfully tuned the radio and recorded a snippet of the broadcast.
So that's pillar 2. 2 minutes, wake up, grab the notebook before the phone, write the fragment, don't judge it, just capture the electron.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we are out of bed. The day begins. We are making coffee, we are commuting, we are in the thick of our assembly line world. That brings us to pillar 3, reflection. This takes 1 minute later in the day.
This step is where the integration truly happens. Take a brief moment during your day, maybe while you're waiting for a meeting to start or doing the dishes or sitting at a red light.
Just a spare minute.
Yeah, and simply ask yourself, how might last night's dream connect to my life today?
Let's use a hypothetical example to walk through the mechanics of this reflection. Let's say my dream fragment was incredibly mundane and frustrating. I dreamt I was trying to pack a suitcase, but the suitcase was way too small.
A classic stress dream.
Clothes were spilling out everywhere and I missed my train. How do I reflect on that without turning into an amateur, overly analytical psychoanalyst? I don't want to start looking up suitcases in a dream dictionary.
Exactly. We throw the dictionary out. You don't analyze the symbols. You analyze the feeling.
The feeling.
You hold the emotional resonance of the dream up against the emotional resonance of your waking day.
Yeah.
And this brings us to a concept we need to define mechanically. Value fulfillment.
Yes. You mentioned value fulfillment earlier, and I let it slide so we could get to the practice, but now we absolutely need to define it because it's a core concept. What is it?
Value fulfillment is the energetic currency of this entire universe. It is the intrinsic, unstoppable drive of all consciousness to expand, to explore all of its probabilities, and to add to the quality of its own existence.
So it isn't adding value in a corporate financial sense.
No, no. It is the joy of a seedling becoming a tree. It is the urge toward complexity and richness.
So how does my frustrating dream about a tiny suitcase tie into the cosmic expansion of value fulfillment?
Because dreams provide the raw, emotional, and psychological material needed to navigate your daily challenges. Dreams are the safe arena where the inner self works out probabilities before they harden into physical reality.
Okay, so let's look at the suitcase dream.
Right. What was the core feeling?
Frustration, a lack of space, a feeling of running out of time.
Now look at your waking day. Are you currently trying to cram too many tasks into your work schedule? Are you feeling pressured by a deadline?
Almost always, yes.
Your dreaming self was taking the emotional reality of your waking life, that time crunch, that lack of capacity, and creating a symbolic environment to process that specific frustration.
The small suitcase.
Yes. It was attempting to achieve value fulfillment by discharging that anxiety in the dream state, so you wouldn't have to carry the full weight of it into your waking Tuesday.
Oh, wow. So the dream wasn't predicting I'd miss a real train. It was essentially acting as a pressure release valve for my psyche.
Yes. Simply noticing that connection during your 1 minute of reflection creates a profound psychological shift. You say to yourself, oh, the frustration of the suitcase is the same as the frustration of my calendar.
I see.
In that moment of recognition, you create a state of internal unity. The boundary between the waking and dreaming selves dissolves. You realize you aren't fighting your daily battles alone. Your entire multidimensional psyche is actively working on your problems with you.
That realization brings immense comfort.
It brings value fulfillment.
And that's it. That is the entire practice. 30 seconds of intention at night, 2 minutes of recall in the morning, 1 minute of reflection during the day.
It really is that simple.
We are talking about less than 5 minutes total. It is the absolute definition of a sustainable practice.
And its brilliance is that it bypasses all the resistance of the rational assembly line intellect. The ego can't complain that it takes too much time because it's only 5 minutes. You can't say you're too busy.
You really can't.
Yet, consistent daily contact with the inner self, even for just 5 minutes, radically alters your perception of reality over time. You are slowly, gently retraining your conscious lens to perceive both the foreground and the background simultaneously.
So what does this all mean for you listening to us right now? It means we have a challenge for you. We want to invite you to actively participate in this, a 1-week commitment.
Yes, we invite you to commit to this exact 5-minute dream practice for the next 7 days. Keep it incredibly simple.
Do not overcomplicate it.
No, don't. Get a notebook today. Put it on your nightstand with a pen. Tonight, when you get into bed, set your 30-second intention. Tune the dial. I will remember a dream.
And tomorrow morning,
before you touch your smartphone, before you look at the time, pick up the pen and write down whatever is there. A color, a feeling, a full epic saga, or just the word blank.
And tomorrow afternoon, while you are waiting for your coffee to brew, spend 1 minute reflecting on the emotional tone of what you wrote. And remember the mindset. I cannot stress this enough. This isn't a chore. You aren't studying for a metaphysical final exam. If you treat it like homework, it will fail. This is a game.
Treat this as an exuberant, joyful game. We are told in the material that the young of all species exhibit an unquenchable rambunctiousness. Playfulness is literally built into the fabric of the universe.
It is a form of biological optimism.
Yes. When you try to force your psyche with grim determination, it shuts down. Play with it. Be curious. Be light.
And what happens if the listener misses a day? What if it's Thursday and they completely forget the intention and they wake up and scroll social media for 20 minutes before remembering the notebook?
What do? We begin again without guilt.
We lean on biological optimism.
Exactly. The inner self is not keeping score. You just pick up the notebook the next morning.
The goal here isn't to decode the ultimate secrets of the universe in 7 days. At the end of the week, I want you to just take stock of how you feel. Ask yourself, do you feel a little more connected to your own internal rhythms?
Just noticing those subtle shifts.
Right. Are you feeling a subtle shift? Maybe you are a bit more creative in your problem solving, a bit more intuitive in your conversations, or simply experiencing a strange, quiet peace. Just notice the shifts.
Because those subtle shifts are the markers of value fulfillment. They are the tangible signs that the rigid, artificial barrier between your waking and dreaming states is finally becoming delightfully porous.
Becoming porous.
The two focuses of consciousness are beginning to share information cooperatively.
You know, bringing this level 1 journey to a close, I have to share a personal realization. When we started this deep dive, I came into it thinking dreams were essentially random mental noise.
A lot of people think that.
I really did. I thought it was just the brain taking out the psychological trash at night, random neurons firing, sorting through the day's debris.
Yeah.
But now, having gone through this material, I see them as a nightly, deeply purposeful conversation with my larger self. And the practice we just laid out is so beautifully simple. I can actually do this.
That's the best part.
I don't need to retreat to a monastery. I don't need to be a mystic on a mountaintop. I can be a busy, normal person with a 5-minute routine and a notebook.
That is the ultimate gift of this material. The inner universe is not reserved for the elite, the highly disciplined, or the obsessively rigorous. It is always available. It is your natural heritage. A few minutes of gentle, unforced attention each day throws the door wide open.
And the most exciting part is that this is just the foundation. This is just the beginning of what is possible.
It is. In our Level 2 deep dives, we're going to go much, much deeper into the mechanics of this inner world. We will explore advanced dream work.
Oh, I can't wait.
We'll look at lucid dreaming techniques without the assembly line pressure. We will explore the awakening of the dream art scientist in full expression.
The dream art scientist, I love that.
How to consciously manipulate the dream state, how to navigate those inner realities with full waking awareness, and how to bring back complex creations into the physical world.
But for now, the best advice is simply to begin the practice. Enjoy the gentle conversation. Your dreams are waiting for you, and they are incredibly patient.
They really are.
As you fall asleep tonight to start your 7-day challenge, we want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. We spent some time earlier talking about that mind-bending concept. The idea that your dreams act like electrons in other realities.
Yes, the idea that the energy of your dreams goes on to serve actual structural functions in the cosmos. They change their form, their subjective force, and they become part of the working mechanics of the universe itself.
Think about the implication of that for just a moment. If your dreams are literally the electrons that build other realities, then by interacting with them, by setting your intention, recalling them, and reflecting on them, you are doing so much more than just optimizing your own psychology.
It's way bigger than that.
You aren't just engaging in a self-help routine. When you dedicate just 5 minutes to remembering a dream, you are consciously participating in the ongoing creation of reality itself. You are stepping into your role as a multidimensional creator.
You are recognizing your place in the vast, optimistic machinery of existence.
So tonight, lay in bed, take a deep breath, tune the dial, and set your intention. Tomorrow morning, before the world demands your attention, pick up the pen and anchor an electron. Because the inner universe is vast, but the key to unlocking it is remarkably small. We've covered so much ground, from projection to inner senses, but the real magic starts the moment you close your eyes. Happy dreaming.